This happened at my F26 husband's sister, F31. She got married last week. Don't think of this as bragging. I have always been considered physically pretty. People have always told me that. It has its perks and its cons. I had a hard time because of this when I was at school, because let's say that I was a stereotypical cheerleader. My point with this is that often other people either only paid attention to me because of my appearance, or they thought everything I did was against them. This was a big issue amongst girls, which I think might have something to do with this as well. So, the conflict. My husband and I got invited to the wedding. It was at a very fancy location, truly a very beautiful wedding. So I decided to dress up a little bit. I had a baby 3 months ago. I wore a dress with cleavage. When her and her husband were busy catching up with friends, some family members came and complimented my outfit with the always so necessary comment about how good I look because I've lost most of my baby weight. You know how much people like to talk about that. Then the other incident was because we didn't bring our baby with us to the wedding. One of my friends was babysitting for us since she lives nearby. He only breastfeeds, so she had to drive him twice so I could feed him. The first time was when they were giving speeches, so I went to the car, breastfed him, and she left. Then the second time some people wanted to see the baby, so as we were outside, because of the music, some of our family came to greet my baby. The thing is that my other sister-in-law posted photos of the wedding. She posted one of me and her which said with the prettiest doll because she calls me Barbie sometimes. My sister-in-law thought that was very nasty. She posted on X saying that no matter what, some people always want to shine brighter than others and steal the stoplight even on special occasions. I saw that and I sent her a text like, "Hey, is everything okay?" She didn't answer that day, but the next saying that I can't possibly be this tone deaf and that the post was about me. I was like, what? And she said that because people were posting and talking about how pretty I looked at her wedding, how good I look, how lucky my husband is, how pretty my baby is. You get the idea. I told her sorry, but I don't really see how that has anything to do with me. She said that I'm doing this on purpose, and to back up her argument she said that in the photo I posted people were commenting on that kind of stuff. She insists that I wanted to outshine her by basically looking prettier and having people coo at my baby. So I think this just might be that female competition because I've seen it other times. It wouldn't be weird to me if she thought that me dressing up or losing weight was something I've done to purposely harm her, because it has happened to me before, but I don't want to be too harsh and I want to give the benefit of the doubt because maybe I was wrong. Edit: we weren't discussing my looks all night. We discussed the wedding/bride and many other topics as well, work, family, their trips, etc. I didn't announce that my baby was outside. My baby was invited, but my husband and I decided to leave him with a friend. It wasn't a child-free wedding. Comment 1. NTA. I will never understand why women are so damn competitive and get upset with people for not being 100% attentive to the bride on her wedding day. Your baby never came into the wedding or reception. You went outside to deal with it. If you went outside and someone saw the baby, okay. If there was a lull in the reception, people are allowed to go outside. I've been to receptions where people went to smoke, or check out the grounds, etc. It's not like everyone stayed in one place all day. And being mad because people saw a baby. This is so ridiculous. Comment 2. I was once asked not to wear heels to a wedding because I always wear heels and I'm kinda tall. You know what a lot of people talked about during the wedding? How it was the first time they saw me without heels. Who got blamed for it? Me. This stuff happens, usually with girls who feel insecure. OP just tried to give you an understanding that sometimes no matter what people are doing, they are being blamed for taking some of the attention. Comment 3. NTA, some people don't understand that not everyone can pump, and not every baby will take a bottle. It took mine 8 hours before taking a bottle at 3 months when I had to go out. You went out to feed. This is a situation you wouldn't have been wrong no matter what you did. If you turned up with baby, you were taking away from bride. If you didn't turn up, you couldn't be bothered to turn up. You did what you needed to for your baby. You can't stop people going out to find you and the baby. My parents were younger when they had me, both 19. They were together until I was one-ish and then they broke up. They didn't get married, so there was no divorce or anything. I also have my mom's last name, and that does come up later, which is why I'm saying it here. My dad met his wife Carol when I was 5-6. I met her age 6 and she was married to him when I was 7. They also had 4 kids in 4 starting a few months after the wedding, because Carol is older than my dad and felt her biological clock ticking, apparently. It was all very fast for me. My relationship with Carol is not very close. She has made a lot of efforts to take on the role of a third parent and second mom, but I always keep her as just my dad's wife or as someone who's part of the wider family, but is not exactly someone important to me. I have a few reasons for this. She never lets me call her Carol. She pushed for Mom or Mama years ago and we ended up both settling for Mom since first names are a no-no. She's also pushy with her religion and has called me disrespectful for not giving her religion a chance and not attending unless I'm forced to. I don't believe in religion and I was mostly raised without it. Dad converted for her but Mom said no to me doing it, and I'm so glad. Carol also acts like we had years to get to know each other before she became my dad's wife, and in reality it was about a year. The other stuff is she hates my mom and is not afraid to voice that stuff around me. Carol hates that I have Mom's last name and not Dad's. Carol hates the first name my mom chose for me and has implied she was selfish for giving it to me because it's more unique and uncommon and not a normal name. She has called my mom white trash, trailer trash, a disgrace as a parent, etc. for the name. And she feels like Dad should have named me as his first son. Then she also blames Mom for not encouraging me to use my middle name, which Dad chose and is more of a name Carol likes. She also disagreed with Mom not putting me in sports when I was a lot younger. Carol is big into boys needing sports from a very young age and my mom never considered that a priority. Carol is so disrespectful about my mom so often. A couple of weeks ago while I was at my dad's, Carol and I were alone and she wanted to know why I never treat her like a parent and what she's done so wrong that I refuse to acknowledge her as any kind of mom to me. I mentioned all of the above and how much I hate when she gets like that. I told her she can't expect to win me over when she sheet talks my mom all the time and disrespects me by disrespecting my name. I told her I would never love someone who acts that way. She was hurt, I could tell, but she was also angry and so was Dad when she told him what I said. They accused me of treating Carol with so much disrespect and harshness. Comment 1, NTA I am sorry this has been your reality. The adults failed in their responsibility to give you a loving and supportive home. If you want to work through things with your dad, you could consider talking with him and giving him your side of the story. And telling him clearly what Carol has done and how that made you feel. I doubt Carol was honest in her retelling of what happened. Be prepared. Your dad may not be open to hearing that he was essentially a J who failed to protect you. And that his wife was a total nightmare. So it's up to you what you want to deal with. Just know you're not the problem. None of this is your fault. The adults failed and are continuing to fail. Respect is earned, not a right. Comment 2. So she asked what was wrong and you told her exactly what, and instead of working on that, or just giving up and accepting it will never happen, she decides to double down. Does she really think she has a right to disrespect your mom? To name you whatever she wants to? To push her religion onto you? Yeah, NTA. I don't know why she asked if she wasn't willing to put an effort into at least understanding. Like, why bother? Was she just actually looking for a reason to be upset? Comment 3. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. NTA, she came in like a freight train and it appears you were one of the few people who didn't cave to her force of nature, making her curious about what she did wrong. Also, she can spin it into her being victimized by you, which is an additional win. Every year, the first week of the year, my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law take their kids, and now their families, on a vacation. This started because both have kids from other marriages and it was too hard/chaotic to try to work out Christmas with the other parents, so they started this and they celebrate Christmas there. They always go to a place where they could go skiing or snowboarding. I cannot ski or snowboard, I've never made a big deal of it, and I would just go tubing or to the spa and just generally relax while they are out. In 2022 I was pregnant so I couldn't go tubing, but I also had a 1-year-old, so I went out with him in the snow and played, walked around, or just hung out in the room. Last year I had 3 kids, my now 2-year-old and 2 7-month-olds, and was pretty much stuck in a non-baby-proofed room with them all week. It wasn't an enjoyable experience, but I did it for the sake of their tradition and for my kids to see them. This year I was also pregnant again, with triplets. I told my husband that I would rather not go this year because I don't want to be far from the hospital in case, and I don't have the energy to keep up with 3 toddlers in another non-baby-proofed room. Since all I would be doing is watching the kids, I'd rather do it at our home where I'm comfortable. He said he understood and asked if I would mind if he went. I told him I would rather him not go the whole time, because we need time off for when the babies come, but otherwise I didn't mind. So he told his mom, and she wasn't thrilled with it, really wanted our kids to come and him for the whole week, but she dropped it. When my husband arrived at the vacation, his mom apparently lost it and started crying and ran to her room. Father-in-law said she had hoped he would bring the kids because now it's not a family vacation. She was apparently sad the rest of the time. My husband said he just wanted to enjoy some time with his family, and if he had brought the kids he would be spending time with his kids in a hotel room, not the rest of the family. So then they moved to me. Why couldn't she come and watch the kids? She's not that far along, 22 weeks, she's watching the kids at home anyways, she could do it here etc. My husband stuck up for me, at least he says he did, but the comments came here and there for the rest of the week. We mainly ignored this, and after the trip they didn't bring it up again. Then they asked if we could come down for my husband's brother's surprise party at the end of February. This was a pretty easy no, as I'll be 29 weeks with triplets by that point, husband told his mom, and it's like the floodgates have opened. Every possibly slight I've committed against them is coming out, but mainly me skipping the vacation and ruining it because it wasn't a family vacation, and that was the whole point. They say I'm keeping my husband from them on purpose. They aren't wrong in that I could have watched the kids in the hotel room, so I'm wondering if I am the a-hole. Comment 1, NTA, but why isn't your husband helping you with 3, bound to be 6 kids? Why isn't your husband helping you out with the kids on this vacation instead of spending all his time with his family? Where your vacation in all of this, or is this really just for him and you and kids come along so he doesn't have to feel guilty? I'm confused because it doesn't sound like your husband helps out with the kids during the vacations. OP comment. On these vacations? He doesn't help much during the day. He makes them breakfast and then goes out, typically eats lunch during their nap time, and then they get back and ready for dinner. He watches the kids while dinner is being made. And then we all entertain them until bed. I guess this is just a system that works for us. I don't particularly like the cold/snow/winter, so I'm okay staying inside with the kids. He likes it, so he goes out. Last year he did stay back 2 mornings and we took all the kids out in the snow. On other vacations we each help equally. Comment 2. Has it dawned on them that next year it would be 6 kids all under 4 in one non-baby-proofed room, and then following year would be 6 kids all under 5, and so on? Unless you're going for sainthood, they have to understand this family vacation is over for you. NTA.
My parents had a one-night stand and I'm the result of that. The relationship with my mom has always been strained because she resents my dad for not being with her after they made me, something she has voiced on and off for my whole life. Even when I, 16M, was like 5, I remember her ranting about how selfish my dad was for that. She engaged in parental alienation a lot over the years, but the courts never did anything and my dad did try to fight against it in court. When I was 7, my mom got with her husband Greg and they have kids together. Greg is a duck and an even bigger duck than my mom, which I wasn't sure was possible for a while, but you know. He has talked about my dad being really girly and how his worried dad will turn me gay. He and Mom tried to sue for custody of me, stating they could give me a two-parent home, and Greg even tried to argue that he was a better dad to me than my dad was. They lost this battle, of course, but that was the kind of crap they do. Greg would get fissy when I told him he wasn't my dad and I wasn't going to call him dad or pops. He said I should be calling him that and I should want to be his son, since he's such a man and he's with my mom. My dad was the parent I could vent to and never hear a bad word said about Mom or Greg. He would never shame me for what I said. He wouldn't push his opinion on me. He would just listen. And he would encourage me to write about it if I needed to. He tried to put me in therapy when I was 8, but my mom blocked it and the courts were like, just leave it be since he's doing fine in school. Dad bought me a journal to help me write stuff out and it helped. Greg found it in my bag one day and acted like my dad had dressed me in sexualized clothing or something. He was so disgusting about a journal being for girls and not something you give to a son. So I don't like Mom or Greg, and I really don't spend any time with their kids, aka my half-siblings. I know the kids aren't to blame, but I try spending as little time in that house as I can. My dad taught me a lot of life skills and cooking is one of them. I also know how to sew up holes in clothes and stuff and do general DIY stuff. I'm actually a pretty good cook, and sometimes I cook for Dad or our extended family, though usually it's with Dad's help when others are over because he says I'm a kid and shouldn't have to do it all. A few weeks ago Greg decided to stalk my dad's Insta and saw posts Dad made about food I cooked for us. Greg told my mom and they were all kinds of angry that I never cook at their house and I have never ever helped them with dinner or fed anyone there. They told me I should be doing that stuff for them too, and I said no. They wanted one good reason why, and I told them I would never cook for people I dislike, and that's them. Mom went on about how that's Dad's fault and Greg was yelling that I was disrespecting him in his own home. I told him to let me go home then and they were like no.
Comment 1. You are 16. In many places that is old enough to decide that you only want to live with one parent. Is that something you would want to do? Is that something your father would agree to? Your stepfather sounds awful. NTA for not wanting to be a part of your mother's family. Comment 2. NTA. Greg and your mom sound like toxic, selfish people. It's no wonder you would limit your interactions with them as much as you can. They didn't ask you to cook for them before, they only want you to now out of jealousy. Your dad, on the other hand, sounds like a great father and role model. It's great that you have him to help you weather the storm.